Most people crumble under the weight of disrespect, letting snide remarks, dismissive attitudes, or blatant slights chip away at their confidence, leaving them feeling small, powerless, and overlooked. But in the next 25 minutes, this video will transform you into an unshakable psychological force, wielding the darkest, most strategic principles of Niccolò Machiavelli to handle disrespect with such power that others will think twice before crossing you again. Backed by cutting-edge research from social psychologists like Dr. Robert Cialdini, whose work on influence and authority reveals how we're manipulated by subtle slights. If you've ever felt belittled, ignored, or disrespected despite your best efforts, this changes everything. Stay locked in with me. You're about to unlock hidden psychological secrets that make disrespect bounce off you like it never even existed, turning you into someone others instinctively respect. Let's paint a vivid picture. You're in a team meeting, passionately sharing a well-thought-out idea, only for a colleague to cut you off with a condescending smirk and say, "That's not practical. Let's move on." Or maybe you're at a family gathering, where a relative makes a biting, passive-aggressive jab about your career or life choices, leaving you stinging but biting your tongue to avoid a scene. You're trying to stay composed, to rise above, to be the bigger person, always prioritizing harmony over conflict. But they're exploiting your restraint, making you feel insignificant, foolish, or even invisible in your own life. It's not your fault. Society has conditioned us from childhood to turn the other cheek, to keep the peace, or to avoid making a fuss, teaching us to absorb disrespect rather than confront it head-on. We're told that conflict is bad, that staying quiet is noble, but this just invites more slights, more dismissals, piling up, like weights on your shoulders until you're left questioning your own worth, simmering with unspoken resentment, or replaying those humiliating moments late at night, wondering why you didn't stand up for yourself. If you're nodding along right now, feeling that familiar knot in your stomach, or that spark of frustration, you're emotionally invested, because deep down, you know you deserve to stand tall, to be respected, not diminished. What if I told you there's a proven psychological path to handle disrespect so powerfully that it never touches your core again, transforming you into someone others dare not cross? That's exactly what we're diving into today, and it starts now. Let's get to the heart of this transformation. Everything we're about to explore is rooted in the Machiavellian principle of controlled power, drawn from Niccolò Machiavelli's seminal work, The Prince, and reinforced by modern social psychology, which demonstrates that respect flows not to those who shrink from slights, but to those who project strategic strength, confidence, and consequence. Studies published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology reveal a stark reality. 75% of people avoid confronting disrespect due to fear of social escalation or rejection. Yet those who assert clear boundaries and maintain composure are 65% more likely to be perceived as authoritative and influential in any setting. This is a universal human behavior pattern. Our brains are evolutionarily wired to respect those who display self-assuredness and refuse to tolerate slights, not those who appease or retreat in the face of disrespect. Today, we're breaking this down into 3 clear, actionable levels to reshape how you handle these moments. First, recognition. Learning to spot the hidden psychological mechanisms of disrespect so you can see through the game before it even begins. Second, protection. EQ. Equipping you with immediate practical shields and counter-strategies to deflect slights in real time without resorting to drama. And third, mastery. Leveraging ethical Machiavellian tactics to flip disrespect into deference, ensuring you command respect effortlessly in any situation. This isn't about becoming cruel, petty, or manipulative. It's about harnessing practical, research-backed psychology to shift from being vulnerable and reactive to being untouchable and commanding. Can you already imagine walking into any interaction, whether at work, in a relationship, or a social setting, knowing that no one will dare disrespect you again because your presence alone demands deference? That's the dark power we're unlocking right now. Let's dive in. and make it your reality. We begin at level 1, recognition, where we pull back the curtain on the insidious psychological machinery behind disrespect, empowering you to spot these tactics before they can land a single blow on your confidence. Disrespect often manifests as microaggressions, subtle but deliberate slights like eye-rolling, interruptions, backhanded compliments, or dismissive tones, all designed to undermine your authority without triggering overt conflict. Why do most people miss or tolerate these? Our brains are hardwired to prioritize social harmony over confrontation. Research from the American Psychological Association shows that the fear of social rejection activates the amygdala, our brain's emotional alarm system, causing us to downplay or ignore slights to avoid tension or ostracism. Let's ground this with a real-world case study. Meet Liam, a 28-year-old software developer in a high-pressure tech firm. During a team meeting, Liam pitched an innovative project idea, only for his manager to dismiss it with a curt, "Nice try, Liam, but let's stick to what works." Liam stayed silent, feeling deflated and doubting his contribution, until he realized this wasn't about his idea's quality. It was a calculated power play to keep him in a subordinate role, a tactic Machiavelli warned about in The Prince when he noted, "Men offend those they believe they can easily harm." Another common form of disrespect is gaslighting slights, where someone denies or distorts your reality to make you question your judgment. For example, saying, "You're being too sensitive," after they've made a rude comment, framing their disrespect as your overreaction. Most people fall for this because it's cloaked as concern or rationality, but it's a deliberate attempt to erode your confidence and control the narrative. Here's a pattern interrupt to jolt your perspective. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling off, replaying a subtle jab and wondering if you imagined it? That's disrespect working its psychological magic, designed to keep you off balance and doubting yourself. Another tactic is public put-downs, like a friend making a joking remark about your flaws in front of a group. Say, "Liam's always late, typical," banking on your silence to assert their dominance. Research from social psychology journals indicates that 70% of people freeze in these moments due to the overwhelming pressure of social judgment, unable to respond effectively without seeming defensive or petty. Then there's exclusionary disrespect, where someone deliberately ignores your input or leaves you out of decisions, signaling you're insignificant. The critical realization here: disrespect targets your desire to avoid conflict and maintain social bonds, qualities that are your strengths but become exploitable weaknesses in the hands of those seeking to diminish you. By learning to identify these core patterns, microaggressions, gaslighting slights, public put-downs, and exclusionary tactics, you gain clarity on the invisible power game being played around you every single day. Take a moment to pause and reflect. Isn't it almost shocking how calculated and predictable these disrespectful moves become once you have the psychological lens to see through them? This recognition is your first step toward reclaiming your authority and setting the stage for true empowerment. Now let's move seamlessly into level 2, protection, where we shift from awareness to active defense, arming you with specific, battle-tested strategies to deflect disrespect in real time without escalating into unnecessary drama or conflict. The first tactic in your arsenal is the calm call-out, inspired by Machiavelli's advice in The Prince to address offenses swiftly but strategically to maintain power. If someone interrupts you mid-sentence, don't shrink or snap. Say calmly, "I'll finish my point first. Then I'm happy to hear your thoughts," delivered with a steady, confident tone. Research from the Journal of Applied Psychology shows that calm, assertive responses like this increase perceived authority by up to 50% as they signal you're in control without inviting pushback. Next, master boundary scripting to set clear limits proactively. Prepare phrases like, "I don't appreciate that tone. Let's keep this conversation respectful," or "I'm happy to discuss this, but not if it's framed dismissively." These scripts, delivered firmly but without aggression, draw an uncrossable line, forcing the other person to adjust or expose their own unreasonable behavior. To spot disrespect in real time, train yourself to notice subtle physical and verbal cues, like dismissive gestures, eye-rolling, smirking, or turning away, vague criticisms, "You always mess this up," or patronizing tones. "Oh, that's cute." These are red flags signaling an attempt to undermine you. Counter these with clarifying questions. Can you explain exactly what you mean by that? Or, what's prompting that comment? These questions shift the dynamic, forcing them to justify their slight while giving you time to stay composed and maintain control. For gaslighting slights, employ reality anchoring. Restate the facts calmly and confidently, such as, "I recall our conversation differently. Here's what I noted happened." This tactic, rooted in cognitive psychology, reinforces your truth and disrupts their attempt to distort your reality. The promise here is immediate and tangible. The moment you start deploying these protective strategies, you'll feel an unmistakable shift. No more internal sting from slights. No more walking away from interactions feeling diminished or second-guessing yourself. But here's a deliberate pattern interrupt to keep you engaged. What if the disrespect persists despite your calm responses? That's where proactive behavioral changes come into play. Limit your exposure to repeat offenders by shortening interactions. E.g., "I've got 10 minutes to discuss this." Redirecting conversations to neutral topics. "Let's focus on the task at hand." Or using technology like muting notifications to create emotional breathing room. To build long-term protection, incorporate a confidence log into your routine. After any interaction where you feel disrespected, jot down the slight, how you responded, did you hold firm or cave, and what worked or could be improved. This practice, grounded in cognitive behavioral therapy principles, rewires your brain to prioritize your self-worth over external validation, making these defenses second nature over time. Another protective tactic is neutral deflection for public put-downs. If someone jabs, "You're so disorganized," respond with, "Interesting observation. I'm focused on delivering results. What's your approach?" This keeps you solution-focused and unshaken, deflecting their attempt to embarrass you. You're not just avoiding disrespect anymore. You're constructing an impenetrable psychological shield that ensures your confidence remains untouchable, no matter how others try to diminish you. Let me pose this rhetorical question to drive it home. Are you ready to step into a reality where disrespectful slights no longer faze you, where your inner strength and composure make you untouchable in any interaction? Now, we ascend to the pinnacle, level 3, mastery, where you transcend basic defense and wield ethical Machiavellian principles to turn disrespect into deference, becoming a commanding psychological force in any setting. The first advanced tactic is strategic exposure, inspired by research in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and Machiavelli's counsel to expose opponents' weaknesses subtly. If someone disrespects you with a comment like, "You're overreacting to this," don't argue. Respond with, "That's an interesting perspective. I'm simply addressing the issue calmly. How do you see it?" This mirrors their tactic back, forcing them to confront their behavior without you stooping to their level. What sets the truly masterful, the elite few, apart from those who remain vulnerable to slights? It's their ability to maintain frame control, a social psychology concept where you define and hold the emotional and narrative tone of any interaction, refusing to let others dictate how you're perceived or how the exchange unfolds. You can practice this by projecting confident, intentional body language, shoulders squared, steady eye contact, minimal fidgeting, and a calm yet firm voice. Research from nonverbal communication studies shows that these cues account for 55% of perceived authority, instantly signaling that you're not someone to be trifled with. For historical anchoring, consider Machiavelli's advice in The Prince to appear merciful, but act decisively when challenged, Apply this ethically by blending approachability with unyielding boundaries. Offer kindness or support, but only when it aligns with your value and goals, not as a reflex to avoid conflict. To solidify your mastery, incorporate pre-framing rituals. Before any potentially charged interaction, take a quiet moment to affirm internally or aloud, "I command respect. I set the tone of this exchange," priming your subconscious mind for dominance according to cognitive psychology principles. While most people react impulsively to disrespect, shrinking, or lashing out, you anticipate and redirect, turning their attempts to diminish you into opportunities to elevate your presence. Here's a practical example. If a friend mocks your ambition in front of others with, "You're dreaming too big," don't defend or shrink. Respond masterfully with, "I'm passionate about my goals and working toward them. What's something you're excited about pursuing?" This exposes their pettiness while positioning you as the confident, gracious leader of the conversation. Another advanced tactic is controlled scarcity. Be less available to those who disrespect you, making your time and presence more valuable. Machiavelli noted that rarity increases worth, and modern psychology confirms that selective engagement heightens perceived status. For instance, if a colleague repeatedly interrupts, limit interactions to essential meetings, signaling your time isn't theirs to waste. Another layer is amplified redirection. If someone dismisses your contribution with, "That's not a big deal," respond with, "I see it as significant. What's your reasoning for downplaying it?" This forces accountability while keeping you composed. You're now operating in the elite echelons, commanding deference effortlessly, radiating quiet power that others can't ignore, and turning every slight into an opportunity to shine. Here's a pattern interrupt to reinforce your progress. Can you imagine the profound liberation of knowing that no one will dare disrespect you again, because your presence alone commands respect and shifts the dynamic in your favor? To deepen this mastery, practice outcome detachment. Focus on your internal standards, not others' reactions, affirming, "Their opinion doesn't define my worth." This mindset, rooted in Stoic philosophy and modern psychological resilience, makes you truly untouchable. To bridge this knowledge into tangible real-world change, let's ground it in 3 detailed, relatable scenarios, contrasting the old you versus the new you, to illustrate your transformation and make it immediately actionable in your daily life. First scenario: the workplace. A colleague dismisses your idea in a meeting with, "That won't work, let's move on." The old you stays silent, feeling small and discouraged, carrying the sting home. The new you recognizes this as a microaggression, protects by responding calmly. "I'd like to explore my idea further. Here's why I believe it's viable." And masters by proactively presenting your idea to the team or supervisor later, documenting its value with data or examples to own the narrative. The outcome? You're seen as a confident leader, earning respect and opening doors to recognition or promotions. Second scenario: personal relationships. Your partner snaps, "You're too sensitive," after you address their rude tone, making you doubt yourself. The old you defends or apologizes, escalating tension and feeling invalidated. The new you spots this as a gaslighting slight, protects with, "I see our conversation differently, let's stick to the facts," and masters by redirecting your energy to personal goals, like pursuing a hobby, exercising, or journaling, to reinforce your independence and self-worth. The result? Either the relationship evolves into a healthier, more respectful dynamic, or you gain the clarity and strength to walk away from toxicity, preserving your emotional well-being. Third scenario: social settings. At a friend's party, someone throws a jab. "You're awfully quiet tonight, are you slacking?" The old you laughs it off awkwardly, feeling embarrassed and stung inside. The new you detects this as a public put-down, protects with a neutral deflection. "I'm just taking it all in. What's on your mind tonight?" And masters by redirecting the group's focus to a positive topic like, "Anyone have exciting plans coming up?" This neutralizes their attempt to diminish you and positions you as the poised, engaging leader of the interaction. The transformation across these scenarios is undeniable. You've gone from feeling overlooked, reactive, and vulnerable to disrespect, to emerging as a composed, commanding force who turns slights into opportunities for dominance. To make this stick in your life, take action today. Choose one specific scenario from your own experiences, whether it's a dismissive coworker, a snarky family member, or a shady friend. Grab a notebook or your phone, script out a calm call-out, boundary script, or redirection phrase using the techniques we've covered, e.g., "I'll finish my thought first, then I'm open to yours," and rehearse it mentally or aloud 3 times to build confidence. The next time you face a disrespectful moment, deploy your script. You'll feel an immediate shift as respect flows your way, solidifying your newfound psychological power and making you untouchable in the face of slights. With this potent knowledge in your hands, you hold significant power that could be misused to manipulate or intimidate if wielded irresponsibly, but you're choosing to use it ethically, as Machiavelli himself advised in The Prince, balancing strength with integrity to build alliances and foster trust. Modern psychology reinforces this ethical stance. True psychological strength lies in earning respect while uplifting those around you, protecting yourself and others from toxic dynamics rather than perpetuating harm. By mastering these strategies, you've joined an exclusive group, perhaps only 5% of the population, who see through the hidden game of disrespect that most people navigate blindly, falling victim to slights without even realizing they're being targeted. This exclusivity gives you a profound edge in every area of life, professional, personal, and social, but with that edge comes a deep responsibility to use it wisely. Anchor yourself in integrity, using these tools to set firm, respectful boundaries, call out disrespect when it threatens harmony, and build relationships grounded in mutual respect, not fear or domination. Your strength doesn't just protect you, it sets an example, inspiring others to rise above petty slights and toxic power plays, creating a ripple effect of empowerment in your workplace, your relationships, and your community. Commit to this ethical approach, and you'll not only safeguard your own value, but also redefine what it means to be truly powerful in the eyes of those around you. As we wrap up, take a moment to reflect on your transformation. You are not the same person who clicked play on this video just 25 minutes ago. You've evolved into a psychological force who neutralizes disrespect with the strategic finesse of Machiavelli, turning slights into opportunities to command deference without ever losing your composure. The hidden game of power dynamics, where others try to diminish you with subtle jabs or overt dismissals. You've mastered it, navigating every interaction on your own empowered terms, never again falling victim to the sting of disrespect. To deepen your psychological arsenal and take your skills to the next level, be sure to check out my upcoming video on mastering covert influence in any interaction. The link is waiting for you in the description below. And to leave you with a powerful, memorable anchor, let's borrow from Machiavelli himself in The Prince. The lion cannot protect himself from traps, and the fox cannot defend himself from wolves. Therefore, one must be a fox to recognize traps, and a lion to frighten wolves. You've become both, cunning enough to see through disrespect and powerful enough to command respect. Stay untouchable, stay commanding, and keep shining as the unstoppable force you've become.